When a billionaire heir defied his father's shocking ultimatum, "You're not having kids with that black woman," he risked losing his fortune, his future, and his family name. But what happened next will leave you speechless. Before we dive into the story, please hit the subscribe button. Also, drop a comment and let us know which city you're watching from. We love hearing where our community is tuning in from. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. When Maya Thompson, a dedicated pediatric nurse from a working-class background, falls in love with Derek Whitfield, heir to a pharmaceutical empire, their worlds collide in ways neither expected. Their unexpected pregnancy becomes the catalyst that forces them to confront generations of family secrets, racial prejudice, and the true cost of choosing love over legacy. As Harrison Whitfield wages war against their relationship, Maya must find the courage to stand up to one of Boston's most powerful men, while protecting the family she's building. This is a story about breaking free from the past, fighting for what matters most, and discovering that sometimes the greatest strength comes from refusing to back down. Maya Thompson adjusted her pediatric nurse uniform and took a steadying breath before stepping into Children's Hospital of Boston. At 28, she had already overcome more than most, losing her parents in a house fire at 12, raised by her hard-working Aunt Carmen, and fighting her way into a career she loved. The hospital, flooded with morning light, had been her sanctuary for 4 years. Here, she could bring comfort and hope to children who needed it most. "Morning, Maya," called Dr. Peterson from the nurses' station. "2 new admits Martinez boy with pneumonia, and a little girl with a broken arm. I'll check their rooms," Maya replied warmly, already shifting into her daily rhythm. Working with children grounded her. Their resilience and trust gave her purpose. Yet lately, her thoughts wandered to someone else, Derek Whitfield. Just the thought of him made her chest tighten. They had met a year ago in this very hospital when Derek came to visit his college roommate's injured son. Lost in the pediatric ward, clutching a balloon and teddy bear, he'd looked so out of place. "Can I help you?" Maya had asked, amused by his confusion over the hospital map. When he looked up, their eyes locked and something shifted in her. Derek, heir to Whitfield Pharmaceuticals, wasn't arrogant or entitled. He was gentle, quietly handsome, with a disarming vulnerability. "I'm looking for room 318 Tommy Chen," he'd said gratefully. "I'll take you," she offered. "How's Tommy doing?" "Better than expected." "Kids are amazing, aren't they?" That simple comment revealed his character. Coffee followed, then dinner, and soon, a steady relationship built on kindness and patience. Now, as Maya adjusted the 4 of a boy recovering from surgery, her mind drifted to the pregnancy test she'd taken that morning. 2 pink lines. Positive. She was carrying Derek's child. They hadn't planned this. They'd been cautious, savoring every step of their relationship. But fate had intervened. Maya felt both exhilarated and terrified. What would Derek say? His wealthy family would surely disapprove of her background. Would he still stand by her? "Nurse Thompson," Dr. Peterson called, breaking her thoughts. "Room 312 needs medication, and Mrs. Patterson has questions about visiting hours." Maya set aside her worries and focused on work. Aunt Carmen had taught her, no matter your struggles, you show up and give your best. The day blurred with rounds, comforting parents, and playing games with recovering children. Her favorite part was story time. Today, she read The Giving Tree, her hand instinctively resting on her flat stomach as she thought of the sacrifices ahead for her own child. That evening, back in her modest apartment, Maya waited for Derek. She had texted him earlier. "We need to talk. At 7 sharp, he knocked. Derek, punctual as always, wore a simple navy sweater and jeans, his hair tousled by the autumn wind. He kissed her gently. "You sounded serious earlier. Everything okay?" Maya led him to the couch, heart racing. "Derek, I need to tell you something. I'm pregnant." Silence filled the room. The clock ticked. His eyes widened, emotions flickering across his face. Surprise, then something else. To her astonishment, tears welled, and a radiant smile broke through. A baby? We're having a baby? His voice cracked with raw emotion. He pulled her close, trembling with joy. You're happy? Maya whispered, her own tears spilling. I was afraid. Your family, Derek cupped her face, eyes shining. Happy doesn't even begin to cover it. Maya, I love you. I want a life with you. A family with you. Relief washed over her. They spent the evening dreaming about their future doctor's appointments, finding a bigger place, Derek working fewer hours, even names, Emma after Maya's mother, James after Derek's grandfather. For now, Maya didn't ask how his powerful father might react. Tonight was theirs, a night of love and hope. The Whitfield estate sprawled across 12 manicured acres outside Boston, its Georgian mansion a monument to privilege and old money. Derek parked his modest Honda in the driveway, steeling himself. He hadn't told Maya he was coming. She didn't need the stress. Some battles he'd fight alone. Inside, the scent of expensive cologne and leather hung heavy. Rosa, the longtime housekeeper, greeted him kindly. Your father is in his study. Thanks. Rosa, I'll go in. Harrison Whitfield, 64, sat surrounded by symbols of power, conference awards, photos with politicians, shelves of untouched first editions. Impeccably dressed, his presence commanded the room. Derek, he said without looking up from his laptop. I wasn't expecting you. Problems at the office? Derek closed the study door, voice steady despite the tension coiling in him. No, I need to talk to you, Dad. His father finally looked up, piercing blue eyes cool and calculating. What is it? Derek took a deep breath, steeling himself for the conversation that would change everything between them. No, it's personal. I wanted to tell you that Maya is pregnant. We're having a baby. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Harrison's face hardened instantly, his eyes turning to ice, and Derek watched his father transform from merely intimidating to genuinely frightening. Maya, the nurse, it wasn't a question, but a statement delivered with the same tone he might use to identify an unwelcome insect. Yes, we've been together for over a year now. Dad, I love her. Harrison stood slowly, his movements deliberate and controlled, his hands resting on the mahogany desk that had belonged to his father and grandfather before him. When he turned back to face Derek, his expression was calculated and cold in a way that made Derek's blood run cold. You are not having kids with that black woman. The words hit Derek like a physical blow, even though some part of him had been expecting them. Hearing his father's racism spoken so bluntly, so carelessly, made Derek's stomach turn. Derek, listen to me very carefully, Harrison continued, his voice dangerously quiet in the way that had terrified Derek as a child. The Whitfield name means something in this town, in this country. We have a legacy to protect, responsibilities that go beyond your personal desires. I don't care about the Whitfield name if it means. Don't interrupt me. Harrison's fist came down hard on his desk, making his coffee cup jump and spill. You think this is simply about race? This is about class, about appropriate matches, about what's best for the company and our family's future. Maya is brilliant and kind, and she's the woman I love. She's going to be the mother of your grandchild. A nurse from the wrong side of town. Harrison cut in dismissively. Do you really think she fit into our world? That her child will? Do you think the board members and their wives will accept her at company functions? Do you think our clients will take you seriously when they meet your wife? Derek felt sick, but also angry in a way he'd never experienced before. Our child, Dad, your grandchild. Harrison's laugh was without humor, a sound that seemed to echo off the wood-paneled walls. Is that what you think? That I'll welcome this complication into my home, into my legacy? That I'll bounce some mixed-race bastard on my knee? The cruelty of the words, The casual way his father dismissed their child his own grandchild ignited something fierce in Derek's chest. Harrison moved closer, lowering his voice to the whisper he used when delivering his most devastating threats. "Let me make this very clear, son. If you continue with this relationship, if you have this child, you can forget about your place at Whitfield Pharmaceuticals. Your trust fund, your inheritance, this home, your health insurance, your car allowance, all of it will be gone. I'll make sure you never work in this industry again. You can't do that," Derek said. But even as the words left his mouth, he knew his father could do exactly that. Harrison Whitfield's influence reached into every corner of Boston's business community. Cat Eye? Who do you think controls everything? Who built the empire you so casually take for granted? Harrison's smile was cruel and satisfied. "Think about it, son. Is some nurse really worth losing everything? Your entire future?" Derek felt the walls of the study closing in on him, felt the weight of his father's expectations and threats pressing down like a physical force. This was how Harrison had always controlled him, not through violence, but through the systematic destruction of Derek's confidence and autonomy. "I need time to think," Derek said finally, hating himself for the words even as they left his mouth. "You have until the end of the week," Harrison said, settling back behind his desk as if they'd been discussing a minor business decision. "After that, I assume you'll make the right choice. Over the next 3 weeks." Maya noticed the change in Derek with growing alarm. He was still physically present, still said he loved her, still talked about the baby with what seemed like excitement. But something fundamental had shifted. A shadow had fallen over him, stealing the easy laughter and spontaneous affection that had defined their relationship. "Is everything okay?" she asked one night as they sat on her couch watching a romantic comedy that neither of them was really paying attention to. Derek had been checking his phone obsessively, and she could feel the tension radiating from him like heat from a fever. "Just work stress," Derek answered, not meeting her eyes, his fingers drumming nervously against his thigh. Maya didn't believe him, but she didn't push. She'd learned early in life, first from watching her aunt navigate various relationships, then from her own experiences, that when people wanted to share their troubles, they would. Pushing only made them retreat further into themselves. But as days turned into weeks, the distance between them grew more pronounced. Derek started canceling plans at the last minute, citing meetings that ran late or urgent projects that couldn't wait. When they were together, he seemed distracted, checking his phone constantly and responding to her questions with distracted hums that made her feel invisible. Change was most noticeable in the physical intimacy they'd once shared so naturally. Derek still held her, still kissed her goodnight, but there was a perfunctory quality to his affection now, as if he was going through the motions of being a loving partner while his mind was elsewhere. Maya's first ultrasound was scheduled for a Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock. Derek had promised to be there, had even requested time off from work specifically for the appointment. They'd talked about it for days, how they'd finally see their baby, hear the heartbeat, maybe find out if they were having a boy or girl. But at 1:30, just as Maya was leaving the hospital for her appointment, her phone buzzed with a text that made her heart sink. "Mr. Whitfield called an emergency board meeting," his message read. "I'm so sorry, Maya. I can't make it. I'll make it up to you, I promise." Maya stared at the text for a long moment, feeling something crack inside her chest. This wasn't just about missing an appointment. This was about priorities, about what Derek considered truly important. She went to the appointment alone, fighting back tears as the technician squeezed cold gel onto her growing belly and moved the ultrasound wand around, searching for their baby. "There we go," the technician said with practiced enthusiasm, and suddenly the room filled with the rapid sound of a tiny heartbeat. "Strong and healthy. Would you like some pictures to take home? Would you like a picture for Daddy?" The technician asked kindly, clearly assuming Derek was simply running late. Maya nodded. wondering if Derek would even want the images, wondering if he was already pulling away from their child, the way he was pulling away from her. That night, she lay awake in her empty bed. Derek had begged off dinner, claiming he needed to prepare for another meeting, her hand resting on her stomach, which was just beginning to show the subtle curve of early pregnancy. She wasn't visibly showing yet, but she could feel her body changing, adapting to nurture the new life growing inside her. What had happened to them? Everything had been perfect until she told Derek about the baby. He'd seemed genuinely overjoyed at first, had held her and cried and talked about their future with such passion. But now a terrible thought occurred to her, one that made her stomach clench with anxiety. What if Derek had only pretended to be happy about the baby? What if deep down he didn't want this child? Didn't want the complications and responsibilities that came with being a father? What if he was slowly distancing himself as a way of preparing to leave her? No, she told herself firmly. She couldn't believe that. The joy in his eyes that first night had been real. She was certain of it. Something else was wrong. Something he wasn't telling her. Her phone buzzed with a text, and for a moment her heart leaped, thinking it might be Derek calling to explain, to apologize, to tell her what was really going on. "I miss you," Derek had written. "Can I come over tomorrow night? I want to see you." Maya texted back a simple yes, then put her phone aside, her jaw set with new determination. Tomorrow she would get answers. This silence between them had gone on long enough, and she refused to spend the rest of her pregnancy wondering if the man she loved actually wanted to be with her. Their child deserved better than that. And so did she. Rosa Delgado had worked for the Whitfields for more than 15 years, long enough to watch Derek grow from a lonely, sensitive boy into a man forever chasing the approval of his cold, demanding father. She'd seen him stumble through adolescence without a mother's love, graduate with honors that Harrison barely noticed, and toil endlessly at Whitfield Pharmaceuticals, only to be told he was never enough. When she overheard Harrison's cruel ultimatum about Maya and the baby, Rosa's heart broke for Derek in a way that reminded her of her own son, who lived with her sister in El Salvador. She also remembered Isabella, Derek's mother, and the truth buried beneath Harrison's lies. The official story was that Isabella had died of breast cancer when Derek was 5. But Rosa knew better. Isabella hadn't died. She had fled after years of Harrison's emotional abuse, his manipulation, his relentless efforts to convince her she was unfit as a wife and mother. With his wealth and power, Harrison erased her from existence, sealed records, bribed officials, silenced whispers. To Derek, she was dead. In truth, she had kissed his photograph one last time and left with only a suitcase, promising she'd return. She never did. So when Rosa overheard Harrison's voice in his study, cold, calculated, dripping with menace, she froze. "Everything is under control," he said into the phone. "Derek will choose wisely. He always does when everything's at stake. The girl won't matter. She'll be out of the picture soon enough. I've dealt with such distractions before." Rosa's hands shook around the duster. She had seen Harrison destroy Isabella's spirit, strip her down until leaving was her only choice. She could not stand by and watch him do the same to Maya, and now, Derek's child. The risk terrified her. But silence was no longer an option. The following evening, Maya Thompson was preparing dinner for Derek, his favorite, chicken enchiladas with her aunt's salsa recipe, when the doorbell rang. Expecting Derek, she opened the door to find an older Latina woman clutching a worn leather purse. Glancing nervously over her shoulder, "Maya Thompson?" the woman asked. "Yes. My name is Rosa Delgado. I work for the Whitfields." Her voice trembled, but her gaze was steady. "May I come in? There's something you need to know." Cautious yet curious, Maya stepped aside. Inside, Rosa spoke quickly, her words heavy with fear. "If Mr. Whitfield knew I was here, I'd lose my job. But I can't stay silent. Not after what I heard." Maya felt dread coil in her chest. "What is this about?" "It's Derek," Rosa said, her hands trembling. "I overheard Mr. Whitfield threaten him. He said if Derek had a child with you, he'd strip him of everything: inheritance, career, health insurance. He threatened to destroy Derek's future." Maya's breath caught. "Because I'm black?" Rosa's eyes filled with sorrow and anger. She nodded. "His exact words were, 'You are not having children with that black woman.' He called your baby things no child should ever be called." Maya sank onto the couch, hand resting protectively on her stomach. "There's more," Rosa whispered. "Yesterday I heard him say he would make you disappear from the picture. He's done this before, and he can do it again." Maya's voice cracked. "Derek knows?" "Yes, he fought back, but—" Rosa shook her head. "Harrison has controlled him his whole life, made him believe he's nothing without the family fortune. Derek is terrified." Before Rosa left, she pressed her phone number into Maya's hand. "Call me if you need me." Alone, Maya sat in silence, emotions raging rage at Harrison's cruelty, hurt that Derek hadn't told her, fear for her baby's safety. But beneath it all, a fierce determination burned bright. When the bell rang again, Derek stood there, worn and nervous, holding flowers that looked like an apology. "Maya, I've missed you," he began, but stopped at her expression. "What's wrong?" She rose, steady as stone. "I know what your father said." "I know everything." His face crumbled. "Maya, please, I can explain." "No," her voice was firm. "No more secrets. No more hiding." She met his eyes with a strength he'd never seen. "Take me to your father, now." Derek flinched. "That's not a good idea. Your father thinks he can control our lives, our child. But he's about to learn he can't. Are you with me, Derek, or with him?" For the first time in weeks, Derek looked at her, truly looked, and saw the woman who loved him, carried his child, and deserved his courage. Slowly, he nodded. "I'm with you, always." As they drove toward the Whitfield estate, Maya's mind burned with everything she wanted to say. She wasn't sure what words would come out, but she knew this: she wouldn't back down. Not from Harrison, not from anyone, because now they were a family. And families fought for each other. The mansion loomed ahead, cold and imposing. Derek's hand squeezed hers as they reached the door. "We don't have to do this," he whispered. "Yes, we do," Maya replied. "For us. For our baby." Before Derek could knock, the door swung open. Rosa stood there, eyes wide with warning. "He's in the dining room. Board members are with him, please. Be careful." The sound of laughter and clinking glasses echoed as they walked inside. Maya hesitated at the threshold, then lifted her chin and entered. The mahogany table was lined with powerful men in suits, their faces flushed with wine. At the head sat Harrison, silver hair gleaming, mid-laugh. His smile died the instant he saw them. "What is the meaning of this?" He snapped, his voice a whip crack. The room fell silent. "Gentlemen," Derek said, his voice steady, "we'll need the room." The board members glanced nervously at Harrison. After a tense pause, he dismissed them with a sharp nod. One by one, they filed out, leaving father, son, and Maya standing in a silence thick as stone. Harrison rose slowly, his grip white-knuckled on the table's edge, his eyes burning with fury. And for the first time, Maya met his gaze without fear. "How dare you bring her here?" Harrison said to Derek, his voice sharp as glass. He still hadn't looked at Maya, as if she were beneath his notice. During a business dinner, no less. "Do you realize how humiliating this is?" "Her name is Maya," Derek replied, his tone carrying a firmness Maya had never heard before. "And she's carrying your grandchild." That finally broke Harrison's icy detachment. His gaze flicked to Maya, scanning her like one might livestock at an auction. "So, Miss Thompson," he said slowly, "you've decided to force your way into my home. Predictable." Maya stood tall, drawing on the strength her aunt had instilled in her and the dignity she'd fought to preserve. her whole life. I'm here because I deserve to hear your threats to my face. No more secrets. No more intimidation from the shadows. I don't know what you're talking about, Harrison said smoothly, though calculation glinted in his eyes. Don't lie to her, Dad, Derek cut in, stepping forward. Rosa told her everything. How you threatened to cut me off if I stayed with Maya. How you said we shouldn't have a child together. How you discussed making her disappear from the picture. Harrison's eyes snapped toward the doorway where Rosa had exited earlier. That woman is fired. Effective immediately. No, she isn't, Derek said firmly, and Maya felt a surge of pride. Not if you want me to remain at Whitfield Pharmaceuticals. Not if you want any relationship with me at all. Silence filled the room, broken only by the tick of the grandfather clock in the corner. Maya stepped closer to the table, locking eyes with Harrison. I came to tell you something, Mr. Whitfield, she said steadily. This baby will never carry your name unless Derek chooses. But your legacy? It means nothing to me. The mask slipped from Harrison's face. His eyes burned with fury. You think you can threaten me in my own home? Do you know who I am? I can destroy your life with a single phone call. I know exactly who you are, Maya shot back. A man so obsessed with appearances that he'd reject his own grandchild. A man who mistakes fear for respect. Harrison let out a bitter laugh. I built an empire from nothing, girl. I fear no one, least of all some nurse chasing my family's money. Then why are you so desperate to keep me away? Maya challenged. If you're truly unafraid, why does Derek loving me terrify you? Harrison's face darkened. The Whitfield name means something. It commands respect. I won't see it tainted by what? Maya pressed, her voice rising. Say it, by a black woman? By a child who won't look like you? By love that doesn't fit your outdated vision of family? His jaw clenched. For a moment, Maya thought he might strike her. Instead, his gaze snapped to Derek. Don't be naive, son. This isn't about love. It's about your future, about everything I've built. She sees dollar signs when she looks at you. No, Derek said, his voice stronger than ever. It's about control. You've always needed to pull the strings. You can't stand the thought that I might choose differently, that I might build a life outside your shadow. He rested a hand on Maya's shoulder, grounding her. Maya understands responsibility better than anyone in your circle. She's worked 12-hour shifts caring for sick children. She survived losing her parents, put herself through nursing school, and still stands stronger than anyone I know. Harrison's lips twisted. Pretty words. But when reality hits, you'll regret this. You always do. He leaned forward, lowering his voice to a venomous whisper. Choose, Derek, right now. Her and her bastard child, or your inheritance, your position, your future. Legacy or fantasy. The air seemed to thicken. Maya's heartbeat thundered in her ears. She wouldn't beg, wouldn't plead. Derek had to make this choice himself, for the first time. Derek truly saw his father, not a titan of industry, but a man consumed by fear and prejudice, a man who had chosen wealth over love his entire life. Then he turned to Maya, the woman carrying his child, the woman who had shown him what love really was. There's no choice to make, Derek said firmly. I choose Maya. I choose our child. I choose love over legacy, truth over tradition, and family over fortune. Harrison's face contorted with rage. Then get out. Both of you. Don't expect a penny, a position, or a shred of support from me. Fine, Derek said calmly. I'll return anything that belongs to the company tomorrow. He took Maya's hand and turned toward the door. You'll regret this. Harrison shouted after them. When the bills come, when she leaves you for someone who can provide, when you realize what you've thrown away, you'll crawl back. Derek paused at the threshold. Harrison looked smaller now, surrounded by wealth that felt more like a prison. The only thing I regret, Derek said softly, is not standing up to you sooner. Outside, the night air was crisp and freeing. Maya inhaled deeply, as though shedding the weight of the mansion's suffocating walls. Are you okay? She asked. No, Derek admitted, his voice breaking. But I will be. He turned to her, eyes glistening. I'm sorry, Maya. I should have told you what he said weeks ago. I should have stood up to him sooner. Tears welled in Maya's eyes, but they were tears of relief. Why didn't you? Did you think I couldn't handle it? No, Derek said quickly. I was afraid not of losing the money, but of failing you. My whole life has been defined by being a Whitfield. I didn't know who I'd be without it. He pulled her close, his tears spilling freely now. But I know now. I want to be your partner. A father, that's who I am. You taught me love isn't weakness. You taught me to fight. Maya held him tightly, her voice soothing. We'll be okay. Our child will grow up knowing they were wanted, knowing we fought for them, knowing love is stronger than fear. As they drove away in Derek's modest car, he looked lighter, freer. Where to now? Maya asked softly. Home, Derek said with a smile that finally reached his eyes. Your apartment, if that's okay. Our apartment, Maya corrected gently. More than anything, Derek whispered, taking her hand, that night as they lay in her small bedroom. Derek's hand resting on her growing belly, Maya felt peace settle over her. The road ahead would be difficult, jobs to find, bills to pay, a home to build, but they would face it together. Their child would be born into a world where love triumphed over legacy, where dignity mattered more than inheritance, where family was chosen, not dictated. As Derek drifted into sleep, Maya thought of her Aunt Carmen, the woman who had taught her strength and sacrifice. She would be proud tonight, proud that Maya had stood tall against one of Boston's most powerful men, and refused to be silenced. Tomorrow would bring challenges. But tonight was theirs, the beginning of a story built not on fear, but on love, courage, and the family they chose to create.